We met Ellen, who lives a van with Nico. Nico got tired of this lifestyle and left her. She then found his mom, stole a baby at a hotel, pretended to be hers and Nico's, so the mom had pity and took her inside. One day, to help with them bonding, the mom, Ellen, and the baby go to the park. Margot and Ellen start to develop a deeper relationship as they both lay down on the grass. That night, the real mom of the baby is missing her child in a hotel room. Louisa from Child Protective Services comes in to speak with her. The woman, which name is Caroline, remembers her child with different outfits, but Louisa bring her back to reality and question her role as a mother. We audiences in part 1 have seen bad of a mother she actually is. The next day, Margot comes back to her building. The doorman is surprised to see her with baby product and compliments her on her look. She is flattered. Back in the apartment, Margot is shocked as Ellen is in the process of repainting Margot's painting. Margot isn't happy. She went and touched her stuff. Margot gets mad at her and reminds she took Ellen of the street. Minutes later, both women calm down and are drinking while continuing painting. Margot shares some of the not-so-right things she did in the past. Ellen then realizes on TV they have a picture of her, and they are looking for her as fugitive because she stole the baby. Meanwhile, Caroline is mad at the story published on the newspaper. The police announces to her they have done the one thing she didn't want: contact her husband. Margot is frustrated as she is not supposed to be in the city. Her husband will never forgive her. She starts packing her stuff. Louisa tells Caroline how bad of a mother she is. Caroline then leaves. Meanwhile, the baby is chilling at the park with Ellen, when she sees Nico walking nearby. He sits next to her without realizing he is sitting next to Ellen, the girl he left with no explanation. He introduces himself, still not recognizing after looking at her. She says her name is Lou. He doesn't realize it's her because what we are seeing is a memory of how they met. Ellen talks about her moving to New York. Nico tells he is leaving because his mom is driving him crazy. Margot on her side is getting herself pretty. Because guess what, she is going downstairs to take her mail and needs to look great for the doorman. She invites him for some wine. The doorman, which name is Manuel, decides to take a break after getting excited. Both go into her apartment. She offers him some drinks. Manuel then grabs her and kisses her. She pushes him away. He is confused and she tells him he had the wrong idea. Manuel is so embarrassed as she tells him to leave. That night, Ellen comes to Margot's room worrying the baby isn't moving. Margot rushes to the baby just to find out she is fine. She is just asleep. She wasn't moving, so Ellen got scared. Margot gives her some advices on parenting. Ellen then wants to cuddle with Margot for a minute. She may need someone to talk to. They both talk about life in general and bond even more. Margot then revealed she tried to seduce the doorman. She wanted him to kiss but got too scared and told him to leave. Ellen throws the newspaper because they talk about her in it. Margot picks the newspaper again. At this moment, her husband calls and Ellen finds the page talking about her and panics, throwing the newspaper again. Margot and Ellen are then invited by Stephen, her ex-husband. They get dinner with him and his new boyfriend, as he became gay. They reveal that they are thinking of adopting. While they are talking, Stephen looks at Ellen and the baby in a weird way. Meanwhile, Caroline finds out there is a hold in her bank when he tries to book a hotel. Stephen then asks more questions to Ellen. Ellen reveals how she was conceived and they get uncomfortable. Ellen gets stressed again when she sees Stephen's boyfriend grabbing his newspaper. On the other end, a distraught Caroline is walking the streets in tears. She sits down. At the dinner, Stephen gets rude with Ellen as he is trying to understand what happened to his son Nico. He doesn't believe anything Ellen is saying. Stephen adds, "How do we know this kid is his?" Margot defends Ellen. And she reminds him he cheated. They both argue and the baby starts crying. Margot and Ellen then leave. Caroline on the other end is in a taxi when she sees her baby and Ellen. She hurries outside screaming her baby name, but the taxi driver stops her demanding to be paid. Ellen sees her and hurries in the subway. Caroline finally gives the angry taxi driver money and hurries to the subway. Caroline screams and Margot notices her. Ellen runs inside the subway cart, while Caroline gets in the station without a card and is stopped by a subway agent for not paying her fare. Caroline gets downstairs just in time for the train to leave. Ellen gets back inside and Margot wants to know why she ran. Margot asks who was that woman. She now wonders who is Ellen really. She goes to look through Ellen's stuff and thinks she stole from that woman. Ellen starts packing and wants to leave. Margot reminds her she is trying to help you. Ellen takes the baby and leaves. She realizes outside her van has been blocked. She goes to walk. Meanwhile, Caroline comes back to her room and the key doesn't work. Louisa and the police opens. Margot then finds Nico sitting downstairs. Meanwhile, Caroline's husband is there and is lecturing her on how bad of a mother she is. Ellen on her end is breaking down trying to hold herself to the baby. Nico finds her and wants to know whose baby is this. Margot then receives a door knock from the police. They are asking where is the baby. Ellen brings the baby to the hospital, but it's clear she knows nothing from the baby. They realize she is not the mother. Nico says they found her. Nico tells her she needs to disappear. Nico takes the baby and tells Ellen to run. Ellen runs. Meanwhile, the police is at Margot's apartment. Margot recognizes Caroline. She offers her coffee. Margot is so sorry. Margot gives some parenting advices to Caroline. Ellen then calls Margot while police is listening and tracking. Ellen is so sorry. Ellen then hangs up, but before she tells her which hospital she left the baby. Ellen is ready to leave but can't abandon the baby, so she changes her mind and rushes back to the hospital. Nico is shocked in seeing her. She grabs the baby as police arrives surrounding her. Ellen, after seeing Caroline in tears, hands over the baby to her and is arrested. Margot arrives and tells her she will find a way to get her out. Ellen is in the police car admiring New York. We are then shown Margot walking in the park. She lays down and sees leaves floating. She then levitates, pulled by the sky. The movie then ends.